Hi, my name's Rob Walker and this is the first of 4 new videos that we're doing for New Zealand Squash. A bit of an update on the ones that we've done previously, bring them back up to date. And the first video that we're doing is called Maintaining Your Squash Club. So what this is about is, before we go out to the market to market our squash club, we really have to make sure that the club is well maintained so that we've got something to sell. So it's pretty simple, but things that need to be done. So the first place to start with looking at your club is from the street. What does your signage look like from the street? At Club Kilburn, we've got a really good fluorescent sign at the road that you would have seen on the previous little clips. We have some signage on the fence that we can change the message on a regular basis with whatever deals or promotions that we've got on at the time. And then you come up the driveway. Now our driveway is a shared driveway, and for 10 years I've been trying to organise to get our whole car park redone, and it's actually being done as we speak. So it's a $50,000 job to get the car park done. But car park's really important to have a nice, if you can, have a nice car park that people can drive into. So we're going to have that very shortly. And then when you get to the building, really important to have good signage on the building and have the building painted well and looking sharp, because that's what they see. That's your club that they're looking at. And then when you come into the front door, those first 2 steps, even the steps before that, really important to make sure that as soon as you walk in the door, that's your first 2 or 3 seconds are really important to make sure that the feel of the club, the way it looks really good, really sharp. There's not bits of paper hanging off the walls, carpet's not messy, place is clean, it's warm. So that first 2 or 3 seconds, really important to create the right impression for your club. So the first thing to maintain, or the most important thing to maintain in a squash court, is probably the squash courts. And I'll tell you what we do with our 9 courts to try and keep them playing well for our members. The most important thing obviously is the floor, and we vacuum the main courts 6 times a week, and we vacuum the ones that don't get used as much 3 times a week. We do it with a Kirby vacuum cleaner, which has got a big brush on it, so it really brushes the dust out of the crack in the floorboards, and keeps it a lot less likely to be slippery, because there's nothing worse, is there, than playing on a squash court that's got a slippery floor. So we do that. That's a very regular thing that we do, 6 times a week for the main courts and 3 times a week for the other ones. The other thing that we do, probably twice a year, is that we wash the courts. So all we do to wash them is we just flood the court with water with a hose, just enough to get it wet, and then we give it a hard broom, and then we swish the water away down the crack, down the cracks and down the side of the wall, and then dry it out. And some people seem to think that if you put water on the court it might buckle the wood, but I've been doing it for 20 years this way and never had a problem. So that's what we do, and we don't put any cleaning agents or anything in with the water. We just put some water on the court, give it a hard brush with just a yard brush, dry it off, and it feels much more grippy again. The next most important thing is obviously the lines on the court, especially the floor lines. So that's pretty easy to maintain, because you can buy your court tape from Club Kilburn. So we keep the lines looking sharp as much as we can, and that just does make the court look a lot better. Now the walls, all our walls are painted, so it's a bit different than a lot of clubs where they're plastered. So it's sort of easier and harder with painted walls. The advantage with painted walls is you can quickly get them looking good again. The disadvantage is they look bad worse. They seem to mark quicker. The other disadvantage with painted walls is, because this paint's not porous, any moisture that's floating around in the air, if the air is conducive to holding the moisture on those days that it is, you get slipperier walls quicker with paint than plaster because the water doesn't soak into the walls. But that's the way we've gone. But what we do have is we've got decent fans in the ceilings of the courts, so that the damp air is getting sucked out, the hotter damp air is getting sucked out, so the air is getting replaced regularly, and that's what you need to do to stop condensation. Having dehumidifiers is a bit like having the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. It's better than no ambulance, but you're better to try and keep the air in the right condition at the beginning. So we have painted walls. It's an ongoing process to keep them looking good, and it's a expensive job, but it has to be done. And we're constantly working doing courts from time to time. And obviously the other main thing is your lights. So I've got an electrician, and we regularly check the tubes in all our lights. We've got tubes in our lights, and we're regularly changing those tubes that need doing, and swapping the ones out that have broken or gone out. So they are the main things with the court that you need to make sure that you keep an eye on. So the changing rooms, really important in a squash club or any club, to make sure that your changing rooms are up to standard. So obviously we have a cleaning roster that we operate from, but I'll talk more about that later on. But in terms of the changing rooms, the most important thing is obviously that when you walk in there, that there's not really bad odours coming from them. And that can build up very quickly, and we have that problem from time to time. But so they need to be well ventilated. So you need some fans in there to make sure that the air's getting changed in there. And you might need to even block your main doors open at night from the changing room, so that the air's getting a good chance to change. Those showers need to be cleaned very, very regularly on your cleaning list, which I'll talk more about in our cleaning section. The lights need to be good. A really good thing to have is lockers. We've got lockers in all our changing rooms that people can bring their own lock and lock their gear in. Really useful. All the gyms have them, so it's a thing that people are pretty used to. So can't really overemphasize the fact that other than the courts, the next most important thing, at least as important actually, is the changing room, so that when people walk in there, it's up to a reasonable standard. Bearing in mind that we're competing for the leisure dollar against some really plush clubs, gym clubs and other clubs that have got really nice locker rooms. So really important to have a good look and take those rooms very seriously in terms of keeping them clean and well maintained. So, cleaning your club. Cannot emphasize how important it is to have a clean club. And as I've got older, it's just dawned on me slowly how important the cleaning is, and I've spent more and more time and energy on trying to make sure that we keep our very large club clean. So the first thing that I have is a cleaning list that my cleaner has, and every day it's got the jobs that are listed on it for every day, that what he or she has to do, and that list is extensive and picky and down to the very small points, so that we know exactly what's being done every day, so that we don't just say to the cleaner, well, just clean it, do a few hours and keep it clean, because experience has shown me that doesn't happen. People take shortcuts. So I would really suggest that you have a list that your cleaner follows, and take your selection of your cleaner very seriously. Spend some time getting the contract right. Write your list of things that you want them to do. Show them at the time of the interview what needs to be done. We clean our club I have a cleaner 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, and then my other 7 or 8 staff that are working in the shop in the reception area do various cleaning jobs during the day as well in the main foyer area. So it's quite extensive, and it needs to be. The other thing is who's checking what your cleaner's doing. I would suggest that in your club that you have, one person that's in charge of making sure that the cleaning's up to scratch, and it's not the person doing it, it's somebody on your committee. Because and I do it in our club, and it's really so important to have it clean. So therefore the person that you select to do it has got to be right, and they need to be checked regularly, and you need a list. And if you get the cleaning right, well, then you're halfway to getting your maintenance right in your club. So repair and maintenance in your club. I would suggest that you sit down with, you get a subcommittee of 3 people that look after the repairs and maintenance in your club, and that you draw up a 3-year or a 5-year plan, whatever suits your club. And you make your list of things that you need to change in your club to get it up to speed and get it really competitive in your community. And then you need to figure out how to fund it. So our club, Club Kelburn, we self-fund everything, just about everything these days. We hardly ever get any gaming money. We have in the past a bit, but we're self-funding, and really that's got to be the ideal for clubs, rather than be reliant on funding agencies to prop you up. But last time I checked, people hadn't given up gambling, so there's still gambling money to be had out there for clubs that need to go down that road. And certainly the best clubs I've seen that have taken the most advantage out of funding agencies have developed a personal relationship with somebody in those funding agencies. They know them, they know who they're dealing with. That's the way the world is. So one way or another, you've got to get those people on board personally. You get to know them, and then you've got a chance of getting the money. But then there are other ways to look at raising money. There might be, some clubs have done debentures in the past, some clubs have done no interest loans with their members, some clubs have got rich members that have given them pieces of some money to go towards certain projects, and there's a lot of people prepared to help. You've just got to ask them. So don't be scared to look at ways of other ways of generating the revenue. But I guess the main thing is to start off is to develop your plan and then figure out how you're going to fund it.